Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all doing well. This is where I talk about the books that I'm reading. I like to read diverse books and I highlight Canadian literature. If you are new, thanks so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am going to be talking about all of the books that I hauled in June and July. So that will get me caught up with all of my hauls, which is all of the books that are on my shelf before August begins. This haul will make my TBR stack go very, very high since it is currently at 1,511. As many of you know, I'm trying to keep it below 1,500. I do think that it's still possible, but this haul will make it a little bit harder. As usual, I'm going to start with books that publishers and authors have sent me. And for this haul, I've received several books from ZG Stories and Arsenal Pulp Press. Now, Arsenal Pulp is an independent publisher in Vancouver, BC. They sent me a few arcs. The first arc is A Perfect Day for a Walk by Bill Arnott. This will be published on September 10th, and this is a travel log in a way. It explores different neighborhoods in Vancouver on foot. Now, if you like to travel like me, there are so many places, I would say maybe even most places, that are so fun to explore on foot. You see things that you wouldn't normally see if you were driving or taking public transit. And I'm looking forward to seeing what gems this book talks about in Vancouver. I'm hoping to take notes so that I can check them out the next time I visit. The next arc that was sent will be published on September 17th. And this is a memoir called Vantage Points. It's by Chase Joynt. This is a trans memoir that also uses mixed media to tell the story. So when the patriarch of Joynt's family dies, a box of documents are discovered, and this memoir talks about some painful past and connects them to issues of today. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this mixed media will be used and how I'm hoping it will add to the story. The next book will be published on September 24th. Now, for those of you who have followed me for a while and followed my channel, hang on to your hats, because this is a graphic novel. And I've said many times that I don't usually get along with graphic novels, but that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to, give them a try once in a while. And this one is All Our Ordinary Stories by Teresa Wong. Now, I know of Teresa Wong's previous book called Dear Scarlet, which I haven't read, but I heard her talk about it at an author event. And the graphic novels, both of them are memoirs. This one begins in 2014 after Teresa Wong's mother has a stroke. And this book explores the disconnection that she feels from her immigrant parents, and it takes a look at how to honor the past of immigrant parents, but also forge a new future going forward. And I'm very interested in themes like that. So we will see how the graphic novel goes for me. Here, so you can see kind of what the inside looks like. The last book that Arsenal Pulp sent is being published on October the 8th. And it is nonfiction as well. I'm just realizing that these are all nonfiction. And that's kind of cool because there's not a lot of nonfiction in Canada. So this is Finding Otipemisiwak, I hope I'm saying that correctly, by Andrea Currie. And this is Andrea Currie's story and her experience during the 60s scoop. She was a Métis child adopted into a white family with no connection to her people and to her culture. And this looks at how Indigenous children who have experienced this are searching for their identity now and the connections to their culture. The author works as a psychotherapist and has worked with many residential school survivors. So this sounds like it will be a heavy read, but like it's an important read. So these 4 books from Zedgy Stories and the Arsenal Pulp Press bring the TBR stack to 1,515. The next books are from the Republic of Consciousness. First is Prairie Dresses Art Other by Danielle Dutton. This book is divided into these 4 sections. Each section focuses on something different. There are surreal stories, literary fashion, there's essays about art and fiction, and other stories that can't be as easily categorized. This looks like it will be a quick read. It's less than 200 pages. It's just a little thing. And it seems to have a variety of things to offer. Also from the Republic of Consciousness is The Quiet Act of Loving Bones by Katie Willis. I love this title. This is a debut novel, also less than 200 pages. And this is about a woman who dreams of being a ballet dancer. She attends ballet school, she falls in love, and then her body kind of gives out on her. And the story is inspired by the author's own life, although it's a fictional story. I think that this will have some interesting themes around, the relationship that we have with our bodies. So these 2 books from the Republic of Consciousness bring the TBR stack to 1,517. Next are books that I picked up because of the Reading Across Canada book club. One of our last picks was The Nymph and the Lamp by Thomas H. Raddall. I had started reading it as an electronic copy. I don't do well often with e-copies. So even though I was enjoying the read at first, I wasn't finding myself going back to it, and I didn't end up finishing it before our discussion. This takes place in the 1920s in Nova Scotia, and I know there's a love story, but I didn't get far enough to really tell you too much more. I know that other people from the discussion that we had in the book club, they really enjoyed the book. So I was happy to be able to pick up this copy, and I will definitely get to this. And this is a newer publication, republication, I guess. The next book is our July pick, and it is Grazie by Lucia Frangione. The main character in this is Graziana, who has experienced some trauma and is healing physically and mentally while her daughter is being cared for by her grandfather. I will be talking more about this in my wrap-up, but from our discussion, it seems like everyone enjoyed this book, and there's a lot to unpack in this one. So with these 2 books, it brings the TBR stack to 1,519. This next group of books are all books by authors that I already have on my shelf that I've read before. I picked up 2 books, although I realize I didn't grab one of them, so I'll put a picture up, by Abby Jiminez, Yours Truly by Abby Jiminez, and Just for the Summer by Abby Jiminez. These are both part of the Part of Your World series, but as I've said before, what I like about Abby Jiminez's series is that you can read them as standalones. You don't have to, read them in order, but there are characters in all of the books in that world that appear in the books. So Abby Jiminez has become an auto-buy author for me, because I know that I'm going to get, interesting characters, a good story, and a few laughs along the way. Next, I picked up One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serle. I read her book In 5 Years, which I really liked. And this one is about a woman whose mother dies, and she goes to Italy on a trip that they had planned as a mother-daughter getaway. And it has what I'm going to call the Rebecca Serle element of magical realism that is believable in a way, and I enjoy being able to escape that way. I've already read this one. In fact, I've already read the last 3 books. So you will be hearing more about all of these in my June and July wrap-up, which will be coming out soon. The next book is a most anticipated 2024 release for me, and it is Behind You by Katouh Hernandez. I cannot wait to read this. This story is inspired by true events of the Scarborough killer or Scarborough rapist, who is a real person. And if you were alive in Canada in the late 80s and 90s, you will know who this person is, and probably at minimum watched, like many people, news coverage about him and his victims. And every once in a while, this case resurfaces in some way. So in this fictional story, Katouh Hernandez never says his name, and neither will I. And she wants to focus on those who survived and who didn't survive. So the main character in this is Alma, and this story takes a look back at Alma's life during the time of the Scarborough stalker in the book. So this is going to be the Reading Across Canada Book Club pick for September. So if you want to join us for that, there is more information in the link below. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Katouh Hernandez, tells this story. With all of these books, it brings the TBR to 1,523. It's getting so high. Okay, this next group of books are new to me authors. I've never read anything by them before. First up is Wahala by Nikki May. This is a book about 4 women and their friendships. You all know I love books about friendships, in particular female friendships. This has been compared to Sex and the City, and I picked it up. I do love Sex and the City, but I picked it up because it is one of the books that is on my list from my Books I Want to Read Because of You series. And I think it was Allie from Allie Do As Read recommended this on her channel. She did a vlog about it. So I will leave links below to Allie's channel and those videos. Next up is a book that I am highly anticipating. It's one of those books that I've heard only good things about. I would say that it's a booktube gem. As Long as the Lemon Tree Grows by Zoulfa Katouh. I'm trying to go into this as blind as possible. So all I really know is that it takes place in Syria. The main character is a woman who is trying to decide if she should leave her country in order to be safe for survival, or if she stays loyal to her country and stays for her family. So I'm hoping to read this one really soon as well. The next book is a memoir. It feels like it's a huge book. Madly Deeply, The Diaries of Alan Rickman by Alan Rickman and edited by Alan Taylor. Now, I'm not a huge Alan Rickman fan. I know who he is, and I saw him in movies, Love Actually and Die Hard, and of course the couple of Harry Potter movies that I did get through. But every once in a while, there's a memoir, that kind of says to me, try me out, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about that person. So that's the case here. And I will be talking about this one when I do my wrap up as well, because I did finally finish it. The Opposite of Loneliness by Marina Keegan is next on my pile. This is a collection of essays and short stories that were written by Marina, who died shortly, just days after she graduated from Yale. And her writing has touched people on a really deep level. So I am very curious to read this. And then I have The Plot by Jean Hanff Korelitz. This is a psychological suspense story, which is often my favorite kind. The main character is a writer who hasn't written or published anything in quite some time. And when one of his students tells him the plot of a story that he would like to write, it shows a lot of promise and he's really intrigued. And then the student dies. And I'm guessing that the teacher tries to use this plot for himself, but then finds out things about his student that he wasn't expecting. So I'm really intrigued about this one for sure. Next is Four Treasures of the Sky by Jenny Tingui Zhang. This story sounds amazing. The main character is a young girl who is kidnapped in China and brought to the US. This story is how she survives that. It's about culture, anti-Chinese sentiment, finding your identity, and being able to live your own story. So this is one that I think that I will really like. And last on my list is Pure Color by Canadian author Sheila Heti. This book had some buzz in 2022, 2023 with literary prizes, and I hesitated picking it up for some time because I wasn't sure if I would like it or not. It's been described as philosophy over people's heads, and there's been some who have appreciated the writing and its message. I've read this and I will be talking more about it in my wrap-up, so stay tuned for that to see where I fall on the spectrum. So with this group of books, the TBR stack is now officially at 1,530. That means that in just over half a year, instead of bringing my TBR down below 1,500, I have instead managed to add 30 books to it. So in some ways it's not bad, because it could be worse, but I am clearly failing on this goal so far. We will see where the TBR stack sits after I share my June and July wrap-up in a few days. Please let me know if you have read any of these books, if you are interested in any of these books. Are there some that are new to you? You know, what are some books that you hauled in June and July that you are most excited to read next? I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.